Welcome back, friends, to another story time with Thisbe, and we're going to be reading another Smurf book by the Smurfs. It's called Meet Smurfette. That's this lady here, in case you didn't know. It was late at night, but Gargamel, the evil wizard, was still hard at work. He was clearly up to something. Bum, bum, bum. Ominous beginning.
If I just add a few crocodile tears, a viper's tongue, and a turtle finch brain to this blue clay,
Gargamel muttered to himself.
Aha! This time I'll get you, you miserable elves.
Gargamel was working on his latest plan to capture the Smurfs. The next day, the Smurfs were busy gathering food for the winter. They had to stock enough chestnuts, walnuts, and hazelnuts to feed them till the spring. Kind of like squirrels, huh? Then, one Smurf heard a very strange, high-pitched noise. It sounded like someone was crying. He walked towards the noise and found a strange creature in the middle of a clearing. Who are you? Asked the Smurf. I'm a Smurfette, she answered. Are you? I've never seen one. And why are you smurfing so much? He asked. Because I'm all alone and I have nowhere to go, she replied. Well, you can smurf back to the village with me, he offered. Oh, thank you, said Smurfette, but I'm so tired. Could you carry me? Okay, he said as he threw her over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. When Smurfette arrived in Smurf Village, all of the Smurfs crowded around to get a closer look, and laughed when they heard her shrill voice. They had never seen a Smurfette before. This makes me really curious about where Smurfs come from. They gave Smurfette her own mushroom house to live in, and let her decorate it however she wanted. The Smurfs were a little surprised by her choice of paint colors, but she seemed so sad when they suggested changing it that they simply followed her orders. Unfortunately, the Smurfs had no idea that Smurfette wasn't a real Smurf at all. Gargamel created her out of blue clay and sent her to Smurf Village. He wanted Smurfette to trick the Smurfs into following her back to his cottage and talk to her through her magical powder compact.
Don't forget, said Gargamel, if you make them fall in love with you, they'll do anything you want.
But that was no easy task. Even though the Smurfs wanted to give Smurfette a warm welcome, they thought she was a little bit too friendly. They weren't even that excited when she invited them all to a big picnic. On the day of the picnic, Smurfette waited for her guests, but nobody came. Nobody except Jokey Smurf, who was nice enough to bring her a gift. Unfortunately, it was an exploding package. Smurfette was furious. She gave up trying to win the Smurfs over. Being nice wasn't working. It was time for Plan B. Smurfette made her way to the dam over the Smurf River. She was going to try to flood Smurf Village. If she succeeded, maybe Gargamel would forgive her for not making the Smurfs fall in love with her. On the footbridge of the dam, Smurfette found Greedy Smurf standing all by himself.
The dam is magnificent,
said Greedy Smurf. But what do you do if it overflows? Asked Smurfette.
Well, we smurfed the gate to let out some water,
Greedy answered. Smurfette smiled. If I give you this cake, will you show me how it's done? She asked.
Okay, Greedy said, but just for a second.
Uh-oh. Greedy pushed the lever, and the water rushed out of the gate and the dam. But when he was about to shut the gate, Smurfette held down the lever.
Are you crazy? Shouted the Smurf. Do you want to flood the village?
Yes, yelled Smurfette. Soon the water that had been flowing peacefully over the rocks turned into a fast-moving river. Oh no! Cried the Smurfs. The dam must have been smurfed! Greedy tried hard to push Smurfette away from the lever. Finally, she fell into the river, and the current swiftly swept her away. She yelled for help as loudly as she could, but nobody could hear her over the rushing rapids. Luckily for Smurfette, some Smurfs spotted her on their way to the dam. Holding hands, they formed a chain and were able to pull her out of the rapids. That is lucky for her. She was almost pretty screwed there, for being honest. The Smurfs closed the gate at the dam, and the water level slowly went down. The Smurfs were so angry with Smurfette. Papa Smurf decided that she needed to be punished for what she had done.
"Smurfette," said Papa Smurf, "why did you try to flood the village?"
Smurfette thought for a moment and then started to sob. "I don't know," she said. "You've been so good to me, but Gargamel created me, and he smurfs my actions. Oh, how I would love to be a real Smurfette, kind and happy like all of you." The Smurfs weren't angry anymore. They felt sorry for her.
Said Papa Smurf, "I might be able to smurf something."
In his laboratory, Papa Smurf covered the Smurfette with all kinds of potions and lotions, hoping to turn her into a real Smurfette. All the Smurfs waited outside, and when the door of the lab finally opened, Papa Smurf walked out with a big smile on his face.
"I think I have succeeded," he said, "and the result is totally smurfing."
He was right. Smurfette had changed completely. She was no longer the evil Smurfette they had met. All the Smurfs fell in love with her on the spot. Before long, Smurfette couldn't go anywhere without a crowd of Smurfs around her. They brought her gifts and fought over who got to talk to her first.
Papa Smurf shook his head. "I wonder," he said, "if this Smurfette is about to smurf us more problems than the first one."
That's all for now, you guys. We'll see you next time.